He has all the sport. Morning, great news this morning.
Yes, very, very good news. It was basically the start that the Paralympics GB team had been wanting for all their home games. 2 gold medals on day one, with the first going to the athlete we featured on breakfast yesterday, Sarah Storey, the 5-time. Now, it is interesting looking at the newspapers to see how they've handled the different stories that we have at the moment. So there are quite a lot of these souvenir editions. Sarah Storey on the front of the Times, a special cover that they have, but the actual sporting back page has a mixture of stories. It's got Ben Quilter there from the Paralympics, but also a story about Andy Currell from Liverpool moving across on a loan deal to West Ham, and that's how the Telegraph have dealt with this as well. They've got a pull-out section with Sarah Storey again, the national treasure on the front, but inside they've got the real Champions League, obviously the Champions League draw, which was made last night. So a mixture of stories. The rest of the newspapers going on the Andy Carroll story on the back pages. I'll have plenty more at 6:30 for you.
Oh, Karthi, thanks very much. That's great news and a reflect. He has the sport. Morning.
Indeed, thank you very much. Those piglets remind me of Paul the Octopus from the World Cup, but we don't need any of those sorts of predictions for the Paralympics team because they are already producing gold medals, 2 in fact, on day one for Paralympics GB, with the first going to the athlete we featured on breakfast yesterday, Sarah Storey. It was a golden day for Jonathan Fox and Sarah Storey. Fox won the 100-metre backstroke title. Not particularly warm in our studio here overlooking the park, but an absolutely beautiful view. And we have had a great day one, looking forward to day two. But we did get 2 gold medals for Paralympics GB yesterday, with the first going to the athlete we featured on breakfast yesterday, Sarah Storey. So Storey has helped Paralympics GB to go to 3rd in the medal table after day one, behind China and Australia. In addition, Liverpool and Newcastle United are through to the group stage of the Europa League, but Motherwell are out. Former US Open champion Andy Roddick has announced that this tournament will be his last. The 3-time Wimbledon finalist made the announcement on his 30th birthday before he plays his second round match against Bernard Tomic of Australia later. His only Grand Slam win came at Flushing Meadows in 2003. He didn't exactly look under pressure, but Usain Bolt says he's happy not to have the stress of the Olympics on his mind anymore as he winds down his season. Last night in Zurich, the Jamaican won the 200 metres. That will be particularly interesting to look forward to the World Championships coming up, but all attention really on the Paralympics at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You have to feel for Paralympics GB because there's a lot of pressure, as there was with 2012, the Olympics. And are we on track for what they were predicting?
Well, they were looking for 103 medals, which is 1 more than the 102 they won in Beijing. 42 of those were gold medals. We've picked up 2 already from day one, 7 medals in total. But the pace maybe needs to pick up a little bit. But there are obviously a lot more events to come and a lot more happening each day as the action moves throughout the 11 days. So they're on track with 2 gold medals, but maybe you need to get a few more today to sort of get that total up towards the 42 or more, or 103 in terms of the total number of medals that they do want for Paralympics GB for the team. But doing incredibly well. They're already 3rd in the table behind Australia and China, similar to the Olympics.
Karthi, we'll have more from you later. For now, thank you. Karthi is
Morning.
at Olympic Park. Karthi, hi.
Hello there, thank you very much. That's very emotional music, that Poruna Cabeza, and along with the Paralympics, the theme all gets you going this morning, really stirs the emotions. The crowds are arriving ready for day 2. We can see some of them just behind me at the athletics stadium around the orbit, just starting to come into the Olympic Park, with athletics getting going this morning at 10 o'clock, and also at the aquatic centre we've got the swimming heats starting at 9:30. So day 2 is underway quite soon, but if we have a quick look at what happened on day 1, because there were 2 gold medals for Paralympics GB. The first going to the athlete that Sarah Storey is one of the most popular members of Paralympics GB, which you could tell by the crowd reaction to her victory. After her win got Britain off the mark for gold medals, she paid tribute to the velodrome crowd. Now, Liverpool and Newcastle United are through to the group stage of the Europa League, but Motherwell are out. Liverpool. The former US Open champion Andy Roddick has announced that this tournament will be his last. The 3-time Wimbledon finalist made the announcement on his 30th birthday before he plays his second round match against Bernard Tomic of Australia later. His only Grand Slam win came at Flushing Meadows in 2003. Well, he didn't exactly look under pressure, but Usain Bolt says he's happy not to have the stress of the Olympics on his mind anymore as he winds down his season. Last night in Zurich, the Jamaican won the 200 metres in a time. So there's plenty to look forward to today. Day 2 of the athletics gets starting, and swimming heats as well. We've got the sitting volleyball, which you might remember the name of Martine Wright, who was involved in the bombings on 7/7, and she's now taking part in the sitting volleyball. The Team GB take on Ukraine, and that starts at 9 o'clock, so not long to go to that. So some excellent events coming up on day 2, and hopefully some more gold medals.
Yes, and Simon's asked this before, but we're sort of on track to get as many medals as they wanted, aren't we?
2 medals from day 1, 7 medals in total. They want 42 gold medals. Oh, they won 42 in Beijing, and they had 102 altogether. The target this time is 103, so they want to do better than Beijing. It is only day 1, and there are more events and more gold medals each day. There are 40 on offer today, so plenty more to come, we would hope. And yes, they are just about on track at the moment.
OK, Karthi, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. The stadium is filling up, and there are lots of people arriving here because the events do get going this morning. Sitting volleyball, swimming and athletics are some of the big events today. But as you mentioned, the double gold medalist David Weir starts his Paralympic campaign this evening in the 5,000 metres. And although Weir is involved in 4 events at this Games, he doesn't want to get too carried away with thinking that he can actually win all 4 golds.